Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Namalabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Shodanandana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa, Paravajikacharya Ashtottara Sri Srimad's Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajikacharya Ashtottara Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. On this 29th day of April, 2026 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized, text 44, at the bottom of page 111.
Hare Krishna, 45.
45?
You did 44 yesterday.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you there, Bhakta Chad.
Hare Krishna.
All right, text 45 on page 112. Trigunya, Vishaya, Veda, Nistragunyo, Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Chema Atmavan Trigun Nivishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna. Time out. Page 112. Second line of the verse. Got it? Okay. Yeah, that's a different version. Okay, second line of the verse, text 45, page 112. Nirdvandvo Nityasattvasto Niryoga Chema Atmavan Trigun Nivishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nityasattvasto Niryoga Chema Atmavan Trigun Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjana Nirdvandvo Nityasattvasto Niryoga Chema Atmavan. Sukanto. Trigun Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjana Nirdvandvo Nityasattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Bhakti Chad.
Trigunya Vishaya Veda
Trigunya Vishaya Veda
Nistrigunya Bhavarjana
Nistraigunyo Bhavarjana
Nirvanvo Nityasattvasto
Nirdvandvo Nityasattvasto
Niryoga Chema Atmavan.
Niryoga Kshema Atmavan.
Vanessa's on too.
Oh, Vanessa, oh, that's okay.
Trigunya Vishaya Veda
Trigunya Vishaya Veda
Nistrigunya Bhavarjana
Nistraigunyo Bhavarjana
Nirdvandvo Nityasattvasto
Nirdvandvo Nityasattvasto
Niryoga Shema Atmavan.
Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Ani. Trigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjana Niryoga Nirvandvo Nityasattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. All right. Word by word. Trigunya pertaining to the three modes of material nature. Vishayaha. On the subject matter. Vedaha, Vedic literatures. Nistraigunyaha, transcendental to the three modes of material nature. Bhava, be Arjuna, O Arjun. Nirdvandvaha, without duality. Nityasattvastaha, in a pure state of spiritual existence. Niryoga Kshemaha, free from ideas of gain and protection. Atmavan, established in the self. Translation. Krishna says to Arjuna, the Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Purport. All material activities involve actions and reactions in the three modes of material nature. They are meant for fruitive results, which cause bondage in the material world. The Vedas deal mostly with fruitive activities to gradually elevate the general public from the field of sense gratification to the position on the transcendental plane. Arjuna, as a student and friend of Lord Krishna, is advised to raise himself to the transcendental position of Vedanta philosophy, where, In the beginning, there is Brahma Jigyasa, or questions on the supreme transcendence. All the living entities who are in the material world are struggling very hard for existence. For them, the Lord, after creation of the material world, gave the Vedic wisdom advising how to live and get rid of the material entanglement. When the activities for sense gratification, namely the Karma Kanda chapter, are finished, then the chance for spiritual realization is offered in the form of the Upanishads, which are part of different Vedas, as the Bhagavad Gita is a part of the fifth Veda, namely the Mahabharata. The Upanishads mark the beginning of transcendental life. As long as the material body exists, there are actions-reactions in the material modes. One has to learn tolerance in the face of dualities such as happiness and distress, cold and warmth, and by tolerating such dualities, become free from anxieties regarding gain and loss. This transcendental position is achieved in full Krishna consciousness when one is fully dependent on the goodwill of Krishna. Om Ejnana Timarandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and to all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So Krishna is continuing to encourage and instruct Arjuna to get out of the modes of nature, to get out of the dualities of, oh, this is my friend, my dear grandfather figure, Bhishma, or my dear teacher, and here's all my friends and relatives on the other side. And so how can I fight in this battle? What would be the point of me winning this kingdom and having it soaked with the blood of my dear relatives? Let me go off to the forest, you know. But he knows that that's really not tenable, that he's not suited to do that. And he knows what Krishna has explained to him in previous verses, recent verses, that all the great fighters on the other side, you know, who have been so honoring you so much for your martial ability and excellence, will think you left the battlefield just out of cowardice. And so your good name will be dragged through the mud. What could be more painful for you, you know, for a Kshatriya? So, and then Krishna, he also argues on the basis of, even materially, that you're fighting on the side of right, you see, and if you win the battle, then you'll enjoy the kingdom, and you'll reinstate dharma in the person of Yudhishthira, which will be good for everyone, and in that way you'll enjoy. If you lose, meaning if you get killed, then you go to heaven, because it's a righteous battle and you're great Kshatriya. So it's win-win on the material end also, you know, like that. So, but gradually Krishna is saying that, because 44, Bhogaishwarya Pasaktanam Taya Padita Chetasam, one who is, cannot attain, he explained, going back to the verse, Vyavasayatmaka Buddhir, the text 41, which Prabhupada really took as an inspiration for his getting on the boat and coming to America, because that was the order of his spiritual master. He had gotten that when he first sat down in 1922, when he met him on the roof of Ultadanga. Remember that whole scene? Prabhupada didn't want to go because he'd seen so many, you know, so-called sannyasis. His father would, anyone who looked like a sannyasi, his father would invite him in for lunch and honor him, you know. But Prabhupada saw that some of them would just put on the sannyas clothes in the morning, go begging, and then take it off in the evening, and you know. So he didn't really have much faith in it. But because his friend was so insistent, he went up and saw Bhaktisiddhanta, and of course he was overwhelmed with his purity. And the first thing he said to them, you're educated young men in Bengal. Very important, because he understood the importance of preaching in foreign lands, and especially English, whether in England or in America. You know, if you're going to take Krishna consciousness out of India. So he said even before they got up and got their seats that you should preach, and Prabhupada he objected. You remember his argument? He was a follower of Mahatma Gandhi. He was wearing the khadi. He was into the liberation movement for India. You see, we're a dependent country. Who's going to listen to our message? We have to get independence first. And Bhakti said, no. Spreading Krishna consciousness is so urgent and so important that it can't wait for independence. The struggle has already been going on for 20 years, it may go on another 20 years, but Krishna consciousness is the most urgent thing. So Prabhupada was convinced. He was defeated. He was a great debater. He had never been defeated before in his college and everything. But although Bhaktisana defeated him by argument, he felt good about it and he accepted him, as he said, as his spiritual master from then. So, but one has to get that Vyavasayatmaka buddhi, resolute in Krishna consciousness. But that cannot come if one's attention is splayed. Bahu shaki anantasya buddhayo abhyasayanam. The intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. And how does it become many-branched? That 44. Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam taya apridachedam vyavasayatmaka buddhi. The same phrase is there. If one is always thinking of Bhoga and Aishwarya, right? This is the material state of mind. How can I get enjoyment? And how can I get the Aishwarya, the money, to buy the enjoyment? And if you're prasaktanam, not just asaktanam, attached, but prasaktanam means very attached to these two things. And your mind is always stolen away by that. Taya aparita chetasam, bewildered in mind by that. Then you can't get the firm determination in your intelligence to follow spiritual pursuits. Because it's exactly opposite to figuring out how you can get more sense gratification and all these things materially. So those verses were already there, and 41 and 44 through 44. And then 45 is that now he says even the Vedas, he's differentiating with those portions of the Vedas that deal with the three modes of nature, namely the Karma Kanda section. Now we don't know much about them because they're not taught, but there's a whole section of the Vedas that here's the sacrifice, here's the mantras you have to offer, in order to please Indra and go to heaven, where you can enjoy like anything for thousands of millions of years. All right, let's do that. That sounds good. No, it's bad. Because it's a waste of time. He says in the 9th chapter, you may go there and enjoy godly delights for thousands of years, but it will come to an end, and you'll come down again to this world of death, birth and death. Martya lokam vishanti. Evam Trahi Dharma, because the Trahi Dharma, the three Vedas leading up to the Vedanta Sutra and the actual transcendental part of the Vedas. Trahi Dharma upapana gatagatam, you go and come, go and come, go and come. That's if you're successful in going up. If you never come in touch with the Vedas, if you're in America, and there's no teaching in that, then you're bound to be degraded. You'll lose the human form of life. It's a tragedy. So he's making this differentiation here. You have to don't follow those Vedas. You follow the Upanishads, you follow the Bhagavatam, you follow Vedanta Sutra. That's what he's saying here. Nirdvanvo nijasattvasto. Get beyond the dualities. Be always in the mode of goodness. Nir yoga kshema atmavan. Now that's interesting, this yoga and kshema. This comes up in the 8th chapter. Krishna says, for one who is always thinking of me, then I carry in my own hands the yoga and kshema. What is the yoga and kshema? Your words, the same word has different meanings, just like in English. Here, yoga means your necessities of life, and kshema means your security. This is two things that one has to have materially. You have to have air to breathe, you have to have water to drink, you have to have food, you have to have shelter. These are all yogas. And you have to be part of a society where they have a Kshatriya class or some protection so that the Mongols don't come over the hill and destroy. There's a police force, right? It's security. Two things, yoga and kshema. So Krishna says, I personally carry that for those who are serving me, who are always thinking of me, you see. But here he says, Nir yoga kshema atmavan. Be situated in the self, be surrendered unto me, in other words. And you don't have to worry about your yoga and kshema. You see, near yoga means free from ideas or worry about gain and protection. That's yoga and enchantment. Established in the self. So how to get established in the self? We're going to learn about that in subsequent verses. So let's go on. All right, text 46. Yavan artha udapane sarvatag samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanataha. All purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. Purport. The rituals and sacrifices mentioned in the Karmakanda division of the Vedic literature are meant to encourage gradual development of self-realization. And the purpose of self-realization is clearly stated in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, 15:15. The purpose of studying the Vedas is to know Lord Krishna, the primeval cause of everything. Krishna says, Vedaishta sarva ahameva vejo. Vedanta krit veda videva chaham. Vedaishta sarva, all the Vedas, ahameva veja is to know me. I am the goal. I am the compiler of the Vedas. I am the author of the Vedas. So self-realization means understanding Krishna and one's eternal relationship with him. The relationship of the living entities with Krishna is also mentioned in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 15:7, Mamai Bangsa Jiva Loke. The living entities are parts and parcels of Krishna. Therefore, revival of Krishna consciousness by the individual living entity is the highest perfectional stage of Vedic knowledge. This is confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam 3:33-7 as follows: Aho bata shapachoto gariyan yajjigvangre vartate namatubhyam te pastapaste juhavu sasnaraya brahmanucho namagunantiyete. This is Devahuti glorifying those who were chanting the holy name to her teacher, happens to be her son, Lord Kapila. Oh my Lord, Kapiladev, a person who is chanting your holy name, although born of a low family like that of a Chandala, dog eater, is situated on the highest platform of self-realization. Such a person must have performed all kinds of penances and sacrifices according to Vedic rituals and studied the Vedic literatures many, many times after taking his bath in all the holy places of pilgrimage. Such a person is considered to be the best of the Aryan family. So this is quite a statement, because I mean, it kind of pertains to us, at least to me, you know. Well, I'm not a dog eater, but I could say it was worse. I was a cow eater. Yajjig Vagre, on the tip of whose tongue, even indifferently. In other words, the idea is somehow these dog eaters, they've taken up the chanting of your holy name somehow or other. In previous life, to get to this position, they must have performed all kinds of austerities. And Brahmanuchur, I think, means reciting the Vedas. It's not here. And those who are chanting your name. In other words, whether one has or has not studied all those, particular Vedas, if one somehow or other takes to the chanting of the holy name, not perfectly or purely, certainly in the beginning, but somehow there's some serious chanting going on, then you're in a position of someone who has studied all these things. You're in that kind of an auspicious position, because if you continue and you follow the principles surrounding the chanting and all the thing that Bhakti Yoga means, then you'll be able to, you have a path toward achieving the ultimate goal of life, which is not just to reach Brahman, certainly not to reach the heavenly planets, but is to reach back home, back to Godhead. I'm not going to apologize for saying we were once there. We fell from the spiritual world. That was Prabhupada's understanding, and that's our understanding, that we've left the spiritual world, our home, out of a great illusion that we can somehow control and enjoy this material world, or portions of it. And we've been entangled with that for who knows how many millions of births. So this is an important, very important understanding, the ultimate purpose of all, and probably refers to, okay, I think I didn't, so this was 46, right? So one must be intelligent enough to understand the purpose of the Vedas without being attached to the rituals only, and must not desire to be elevated to the heavenly kingdom for a better quality of sense gratification. It is not possible for the common man in this age to follow all the rules and regulations of the Vedic rituals, nor is it possible to study all of the Vedanta Sutra, and the Upanishads thoroughly. It requires much time, energy, knowledge, and resources to execute the purpose of the Vedas in this way. This is hardly possible in this age. The best purpose of the Vedic culture is served, however, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, as recommended by Lord Chaitanya, the deliverer of all fallen souls. And it's always important to remember that Lord Chaitanya is Lord Krishna, appearing in this age to give us what is feasible. When Lord Chaitanya was asked by a great Vedic scholar, Prakashananda Saraswati, why he, the Lord, was chanting the holy name of the Lord like a sentimentalist instead of studying Vedanta philosophy, the Lord replied that his spiritual master had found him to be a great fool, and thus asked him to chant the holy name of Lord Krishna. He did so and became ecstatic like a madman. In this age of Kali, most of the population is foolish and not adequately educated to understand Vedanta philosophy. The best purpose of Vedanta philosophy is served by inoffensively chanting the holy name of the Lord. Vedanta is the last word in Vedic wisdom, and the author and knower of the Vedanta philosophy is Lord Krishna. And the highest Vedantist is the great soul who takes pleasure in chanting the holy name of the Lord. That is the ultimate purpose of all Vedic mysticism. So this is why, Prabhupada, this is Bhagavad Gita as it is. Because in every purport, or you won't, let's put it this way, you won't be able to read many purports in whatever part of the Gita you're in before Prabhupada's going to give you the Siddhanta, the goal of the whole thing. And the point here is that Krishna is speaking the Bhagavad Gita. The same Krishna appears in this age to give us a means by which we can achieve the ultimate goal of the Bhagavad Gita. Not through yoga, you see, but through bhakti. And how to practice bhakti in this age is feasible. It begins with the chanting of the holy name. And the great point is everyone is eligible. Doesn't matter, this thing, ahobata shupachodogariyan. That's in the Bhagavatam. That even if the dog eaters, somehow, very low birth, take up the chanting of the holy name seriously, then they can be completely purified. And the soul in that dog eater's body, that body will go, they can achieve the highest platform of spiritualization and return home back to Godhead. So this is a great chance for us, I mean, when I heard it, I said, I wonder why it's worse to be a dog eater than it is to be a cow eater. I mean, it's not a very serious question. Both are completely degraded, right? But whether I was certainly a cow eater, a chicken eater, and everything. I don't think I ever ate any dogs, but still, it's completely degraded in that regard, But somehow or other, by Prabhupada's mercy and by Lord Krishna's grace and so forth, I came in touch with the devotees. I was interested. That's a very important thing, to investigate it, and I felt inspired to begin the practice. And then you feel the benefit. And most importantly, there was a place for me to associate. There was no internet or anything. I needed the actual temple, and I was lucky to have a temple located nearby. And at one point, it became the most logical thing for me to do. A lot of people thought I was crazy, but here we are going 53 years later. Still seems like the best thing to do. And you can experience, the like I say, relief, of not being attracted, not being enticed, and having to force your mind and take your mind away from things which are going to degrade you. It's not, it's, at the beginning it may be difficult, but you're in a community where it's just not possible, and you're having so much, the kirtans and the prasadam, especially in the association. If you're fortunate, you can hold on until the fire kind of, is banked. And even though there may be, remembrances of things that you did that you now know are very sinful and bad, it's a little bit of a reflection of Yamunacharya, And he spit at the thought. He said, "Boy, I'm glad I'm not entangled." And much of it was in drugs, because drugs were obviously degrading. That was one of the main parts of the 60s. And I tell this story. Right in this temple, we had one fellow who had gotten himself really entangled with LSD, but he really wanted to be a devotee. He had spent some time in the temple at one point. And he came back here, but his mind was just too gone. I remember him standing, we were going around Tulsi, and he was looking at, what do I do? How do I offer this, more to the Tulsi? He just couldn't do it anymore. That's the real horrible thing, is you damage your brain. And once the brain is damaged, you're helpless. It's just a nightmare. So, but the Krishna consciousness, purifies your consciousness, means that it's healthy for the brain. You're using the brain, you're using your intelligence in the right way. And this idea of the modes, in the temple environment and with devotees, you naturally, get impulse to be more and more sattvic and less controlled by the other modes of nature. And that's essential, to be serious about purification of your consciousness. And the wonderful thing is there's this spiritual pleasure to it. It's not, I remember I used to do Hatha Yoga, and when you first try to do the asanas, it's like difficult. You may strain something, it's like easy. But if I get it down, it'll be. And sure enough, it is. If you really work at it, you feel the benefit of it. But it's limited to the physical, the body. We want to keep the body healthy, but we want to limit that and really work on purification of the consciousness. So Krishna is giving us all of this essential instruction here. Okay, so that was 46. Here we go, 47. Kamanyevadikaraste ma paleshu kadachana ma karma palahetu bhur ma te sangostva karmani. Okay. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. Purport. There are three considerations here: prescribed duties, capricious work, and inaction. Prescribed duties are activities enjoined in terms of one's acquired modes of material nature. In other words, your natural aptitude, whether you're Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. Capricious work means actions without the sanction of authority, and inaction means not performing one's prescribed duties. The Lord advised that Arjuna not be inactive, but that he perform his prescribed duty without being attached to the result. One who is attached to the result of his work is also the cause of the action. Thus, he is the enjoyer or sufferer of the result of such actions. As far as prescribed duties are concerned, they can be fitted into three subdivisions, namely routine work, emergency work, and desired activities. Routine work performed as an obligation in terms of the scriptural injunctions, without desire for results, is action in the mode of goodness. Work with results becomes the cause of bondage. Working with desire for the results becomes the cause of bondage. Therefore, such work is not auspicious. Everyone has his proprietary right in regard to prescribed duties, but should act without attachment to the result. Such disinterested obligatory duties doubtlessly lead one to the path of liberation. Arjuna was therefore advised by the Lord to fight as a matter of duty without attachment to the result. His non-participation in the battle is another side of attachment. Such attachment never leads one to the path of salvation. Any attachment, positive or negative, is cause for bondage. Inaction is sinful. Therefore, fighting as a matter of duty was the only auspicious path of the salvation for Arjuna. So again, we come to the idea of unmotivated action, right? We have that verse. I always like to quote 126 in the Bhagavatam. Savai pangsang paro dharmo yato bhaktir hokshaje ahaitukya pradiyata yayatma suprasidati. It's the same subject as you were talking about. What is your duty? What is dharma is often taken as a duty. So the question from the sages to Sutta Goswami, Naimisharanya, was what is the highest duty of the living being? What is real dharma? What is real dharma? So he says that the highest dharma, savai pangsang paro dharmo, is yato bhaktir adhokshaje, is that which leads to bhakti, to the adhokshaja, which is the name of Krishna, that means the transcendent Lord. He who is beyond the range of the mind and the senses. But what quality, now he describes that bhakti. Ahaituki and apratiyata. Ahaituki means, as translated, unmotivated, and apratiyata means ceaseless. To really satisfy the self. What was that dharma which will fully satisfy the self? That was the question. To fully satisfy the self, such dharma must be, as we have the translation, unmotivated and uninterrupted. Okay. Now, in order not to be confused, one has to understand that by unmotivated, it's natural that the word ahaituki would be translated as motivated, because hetu means a cause or a motive why you do something. And it says ahaituki, unmotivated. But in English, unmotivated means you don't care. You know what it means? That person, you have to go to a psychiatrist, if you just, it's motive ignorance. I don't care, unmotivated. And that's not what it means. It means without any material motivation. Motivate, you look up the word motivation or motive. Motive and motivation are basically the same thing. It means the reason why you do something. It's what's impelling you to do something. Now, I'm sorry? Material intention? Is that what you're saying? That's another way of saying it, but it's more than just your intention, because intention, motive means, well, okay, why did you come to class tonight? You thought you'd maybe get something out of it that would help, I mean, you didn't think you'd hear a bunch of jokes, did you? Right? Oh, we'll have a great time, No. That may be there somehow. But that's not the reason. So your coming to class was not unmotivated. The motivation was a spiritual motivation. I mean, if we really want to please the spiritual master and Krishna, and so we follow the 4 regs and we chant 16 rounds a day, and we come to the temple and we attend the classes and we do all kinds of other services, then the motive stays there. It's a pure motive to please the spiritual master and to please Krishna. And if that's really sustains us, and that's what we do all the time, then we're situated nicely in devotional service. And what's the pleasure? Well, it's not going to be enjoying the fruits of the action. The fruits are for Krishna. But our desire to please Krishna gives us, opens up the channel where we feel spiritual bliss just by pleasing Krishna or his devotees. Okay, when a Sunday feast comes, and a certain amount of devotees, they volunteer to serve out the prasadam, right? So there's a motive there. They want to serve the devotees by doing the serving out the prasadam, and they may also say, well, this is also what Krishna wants me to do, to serve out his prasadam, like that. So you can serve it out very happily. You can't say, I'm serving it out, and maybe they're going to run out of this prep. Maybe I'll just serve a little bit because they won't some of it. No, that's that's not the thing. So the point is that ahoituki in this context means free of material motivation. Think of this verse. This is a very important verse, written by Ramananda Roy and included in the Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu. Because it's in the Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, it's sometimes thought to be written by Rupa Goswami, but it's not. The first line of this verse, Prabhupada turned into the phrase, Krishna consciousness. So it begins like this, Krishna bhakti rasabhavitamati, kriyatam yadikutopi labhyate, tatta laulyam api mulyamekalam, janmakoti sukatayana labhyate. So think of the first line. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati. Your mind absorbed in Krishna Bhakti Rasa means in tasting the joy of the rasa of Krishna Bhakti. The mind always experiencing that at every moment. You're always thinking of Krishna, serving him sometimes internally, in your dreams. You know, it's possible to enjoy it at all times, which Prabhupada did, and the great devotees do. So that state of mind, if you can buy it in the marketplace, you should buy it. You know, he's comparing it to a valuable gem or something. Kriyatam yadi kutopi labhyate. I don't know all exactly how the word, but that means if you can buy it in the marketplace, you should. But you have to have the right price. And what is that price? Laulium, which means greed. The mulium, the price, is your laulium for it. In other words, your intense desire for it is prerequisite to getting that state of mind, to always be absorbed in Krishna Bhakti Rasa, to have your mind always be experiencing that. You have to be greedy for it, because the whole idea it's a paradox in our philosophy in one way, because the thing that we're really striving for is for every moment of every day, every moment waking hour, we're doing something with our senses, with our mind, with whatever we have, wealth, intelligence, for Krishna's mission, for his purpose, for his service. Arjuna here is being said, you have great skill as a Kshatriya. Now use it for my purpose. I want you to fight here. And Arjuna say, no. If I do that, then this, my dear, grandfather and teacher will be killed, and all these other people. And then I'll be responsible for, all these men being killed, and their women will be unprotected. And then Varna Shankar, that'll be all on me, and I'll go to hell, and everything. So he's out of the realm of a Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita, of Krishna Bhakti. He doesn't want to serve Krishna because he thinks it'll harm himself. So that's the mistake. That's the fallacy of material life, is that you think you're doing something for yourself. You're motivated. Okay, I'll make this money. I'll enjoy this thing, and but that just entangles you further in birth, death, old age, and disease. It's sure to bring you back again. And in this age, especially with no real rules and regulations, you're probably going to lose the human form of life, which is the greatest danger. So therefore the verse, karma nirvidikadaste, you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but not to the fruits at any time, kadachana, right? And don't think you are the cause of the activity, that you are you can have a freedom of I'm the cause of the activity, of the fruit of the activity. Then you'll want to enjoy it. Mate sangos to karmani. And what is the last thing he says? Never be attached to not doing your duty. So with all of that, you can't enjoy the fruit, you can't even enjoy the fame of doing it. Therefore, why should I do it? Then you want to not do it. Then that's, he said, no. And don't be attached to not doing your duty. So he's got him from every angle. You should perform your duty, but you shouldn't do it for any selfish motivation. You shouldn't be attached to it. So then the question, well, why should I do it? So that I will enjoy the fruits, which is basically that I want to see Yudhishthira, in other words, I have a strong motive, desire that you perform this for the purpose of the welfare of the world, to annihilate all these demoniac kings and everything. But you have your personal reasons for not fighting. And he enumerated it, these relationships and so forth. So you have to put those aside, that's Maya, and fight for my purpose, and not try to enjoy the fruits of it. The fruit is your feeling the pleasure of serving my purpose with your activities. That's the real magic of bhakti. We are part and parcel of Krishna. Therefore, if we are instrumental consciously in giving Krishna pleasure, we'll also feel spiritual pleasure, because we're part and parcel of Krishna. Now, we feel some of that on a material end. There's some of that a relation like. And a perfect example is the mother loving the child. The mother it's not a business deal. So what can you do for me? What's the bargain? Yes, you can suckle my breast, but what do I get for it? That's crazy, right? The mother loves the child, and if she sees the child healthy and happy and happily suckling the breast, that's it. That's her side. Her happiness is seeing the child happy, because it's love. So if we are very happy seeing Krishna happy and his servants happy, because we know nothing makes Krishna happier than seeing his servants being ecstatic in Krishna consciousness, then that's motive enough, should be motive enough for us to do the sacrifices, book distribution, which is a sacrifice which I never quite got over the hump of being able to do that. But at least I was able to help produce the books. Because this is what Prabhupada wanted. That's why, the relationship with a spiritual master is so essential. Because the immediate practical activity of what to do to please Krishna is given by the spiritual master. Okay, now, I want you to prepare for this holiday that's coming up. It's called Gaur Purnima. Oh, what is that, Prabhupada? Oh, that's when Lord Chaitanya appeared. Oh, okay, that sounds important, Now, you don't have any idea, but you make all kinds of sacrifices, cooking for hours, whatever it may be. So that Prabhupada will be happy and that Lord Chaitanya will be happy. And you end up blissfully chanting Hare Krishna, and then you make kirtan. You can have a seat here. So, any questions or comments on this? Krishna is getting him from all angles. We're on page 114, text 47.
I really like the way you said you should not be attached to the actions of the fruit, but what is this?
Well, that's the way Krishna says. That's what he says. Not ma karma pala hetu bur. Don't think that you're the cause of the fruit. And mate sango sukamati. Ma paleshu. Don't be attached to the fruit. Don't think that you are the cause of it. Understand that I'm the ultimate cause. And then, so then the question, why should I act at all? You don't want me to enjoy the fruit. You don't want me to even enjoy the fame because I'm not the cause of the fruit. Why should I act? So Krishna, he cuts that off. Mate sangos to come, and don't be attached to not acting. In other words, all of this, okay, great, I'm not going to do anything. I just lie around. No, don't do that either. So if you want to follow Krishna, you can't just be lazy. You have to keep doing what you're doing. There's this great verse in the 11th canto that's also along this. It says, how does it start? I got to review these verses more. But the gist of it is that whatever you do, and there's a list there, with your mind, with your body, with your words, with your money, with there's everything that you might have agency over. Think that you should be able to say and to truly understand, I'm doing this for Narayan, I'm doing this for Krishna. It means like, the pure devotee, he's walking from point A to point B. We saw it, probably pick up the phone, but he didn't just pick up the phone. He would pick it up with the grace, he's doing this for Krishna, and everything he said, and everything he's writing here, why is he taking all this trouble? To enlighten us, to give us a chance to serve Krishna. So it's a big, austerity. He's typing, he's typing this, visualizing back in Radha Damodar temple, He didn't have any servants or anything, devotees. So what did he have? He's got to publish these books, and write the book. So he's got this typewriter, manual typewriter, from 1950 or something, or Have you ever used that? Two hands. He wasn't touch typist. No. 2 fingers, typing out these purports. The first part of this book, this chapter, through chapter 5, was done in that way. You see, he had the typewriter. It happened to be sitting on 22nd Avenue, but it was still that same old typewriter. And then they got the dictating machine. He called it a dictaphone, but that's a brand name for a dictating machine. Well, it's very good and go much faster, but then you have the problem of the transcriber. You're listening. The transcriber wasn't even a devotee. He was Neil the typist, they called him, because his purpose was he was a student in some college and university, and in the summertime he had the option of spending a month or two with one of the new religions, so that he could write a paper on it or something. He didn't want to be a devotee. So he comes knocking on the door, and he's told him what it is. He says, "Oh, you know how to type?" Because somehow nobody knew how to type on those machines. He said, "Sure," because you have to use your foot, to stop and start the thing so that you can, and even go in reverse. if he misheard something. So then you have Prabhupada's language, he quotes a Sanskrit verse. How do you think that comes out on Neela type of thing? It's a blank or it's some gibberish, right? So it sped things up, but it also created a lot of errors. And so the first printing of the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, which Prabhupada loves so much, is the unabridged. They came out with the abridged with not all these long purports. Was in 1972, the Macmillan edition, but it needed to be revised, and it was in 1983. It came out in 83, and that's basically the one we're printing here. We're reading here. Anyway, so the whole point we're making here is that Krishna is making here is that you have a right to perform your duty, meaning you should perform your duty. But Arjuna is neglecting to do it. His duty, according to his psychophysical nature, was to be a great fighter, and he's on the right side. He's got Krishna as his advisor right there, but he's hesitating to do that out of bodily connection. You see, so therefore we'll read in the purport to text 71 in this chapter that at first Arjuna wanted to satisfy his own senses by not fighting. That's what he wanted. We just read it in text in 39. If you go back to the purport there, it says, what does it say here? Arjuna's proposal. This is like the third sentence of the purport to text 39 on page 105. It says Arjuna's proposal not to fight was based on sense gratification. Forgetting his prime duty, he wanted to cease fighting because he thought that by not killing his relatives and kinsmen, he would be happier than by enjoying the kingdom after conquering his cousins and brothers, the sons of Dhritarashtra. So he, and the way Prabhupada said it is that Arjuna did not want to fight for his own sense satisfaction. But you see the problem with that. You can see how in India we think, Arjuna did not want to fight for his own sense satisfaction. Oh, he didn't want to fight for the sense. Well, that's good. Right? I mean, we learn later on when he didn't want to fight for his own sense value. He wanted to fight it for Krishna's sense value. But no, what Prabhupada meant by that was what I just read in this purport to 39. That the reason Arjuna did not want to fight was to satisfy his own senses. Or more plainly, Arjuna wanted to satisfy his own senses by not fighting. You see? But my other co-editors and advisors couldn't see that. Because it's so plain in English, Arjuna did not want to fight for his own sense satisfaction, which is great in chapter 18. He didn't want to fight for his own sense satisfaction. He fought for Krishna's sense satisfaction. But what we're trying is, well, why didn't he want to fight? Because he was in the bodily concept of life, or he was put into that by Krishna. Anyway, we'll come upon that eventually. But the point here is that whatever skills and we have, we should. Oh boy, we're getting late. We should perform our duty according to our psychophysical nature, aptitude, but we should perform it. The motive of performing it should be to give the result to Krishna, because when we're chanting Krishna's name, right? So that's something that we would enjoy. Wouldn't we enjoy if someone's chanting your name? Hare Krishna, tapasa, tapasa, tapasa. Oh, thank you. You're recognizing my glories, right? No. Huh? Yeah. But we can see that's pleasing Krishna, and in such a beautiful, and you're meditating on his name, so you're also pleased by that. You see, that's what the Sankirtan is all about. You're doing it, you're not thinking, what am I going to get out of this? Jumping around like that. No, then naturally the soul is connected to Krishna that way. Anyway, Krishna is covering all bases here. Don't think that you are the cause of the result. Ultimately, I've given you the senses and the intelligence to do what you're supposed to be doing. But now, if you use it for my pleasure, that's its success. That'll make you happy and eventually get you out of the material world. All right. I'm sorry we didn't make too much advancement here, or didn't advance so much in the chapter. But we'll pick up on Monday. Text 48. Okay, let me mark that and end with a couple of nice poems that I was thinking of. Okay, let's see if you recognize this one. Ainannatanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam buddho kripaya tapapada pankajas titadhuli sadushang vichindaya. You know that. You've heard it before. Huh? Last number 8? Number 8 of what? Number 8 of what? The last verse of Sikshastakam, Ashla Shiva. Anyway, I'm just kidding. You'll eventually learn it. So here's my little poem. To your servant for eternity, I've lost my true identity and fell into this horrid sea of birth and death, O Lord. O Nanda's son, please him I plea. By your sweet grace consider me a speck of dust upon your lotus feet forevermore. So Lord Chaitanya is teaching us how to pray, actually. So then the next verse, the same meter, but now he's begging for perfection in chanting. Nayanangadadashadhariya vadanangadgadadudhaya gira pulakaya nichitang vapukada tavanama gahane bhavishyati. Tears streaming from my eyes, my voice choked with bliss, the hair upon my body standing up in happiness. When will all these signs of rapture decorate my limbs as I chant your holy name, the monarch of all hymns? But in Ryan Marsh, like that last line, the monarch of all hymns. So what's the monarch of all hymns? Right there, Hare Krishna. Okay, we better go and chant that, get ready to chant that in the kirtan. Sorry to make you late.